The earth endured Christ's ministry only 3 years, not 3 weeks after his real character and purposes were generally known. Jesus Christ did not manifest all the qualities of God. There is greater manifestation of power in the earthquake and the tornado than was manifested in the stilling of the tempest. Greater mechanical skill manifested in the flower than in anything that Christ wrought, greater affluence of beneficence in every annual harvest than in the feeding of 5,000. But the love, the patience, the fidelity, the truth, the long-suffering, the heart of the infinite and eternal energy, comes to its fruition and its manifestation in this one incomparable life. This is what Jesus Christ came to do. Not to show how we can escape hell and get into heaven, but to show how we can escape from ourselves and become other selves, to show how we may cease to be what we are and become what we desire to be. He came that he might teach us and empower us to be the men we want to be, the men we ought to be. Jesus is like a perfect diamond. He is multifaceted. Each facet shows the brilliance of who he is. To Jesus Christ, sin was a disease to be cured rather than a crime to be punished. It awakened his pity, not his anger. Condemned for associating with sinners, he replied on one occasion, "They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick." On another occasion he said that he had come to seek and to save that which is lost. And to him a lost soul was a soul not yet found. He compared such a soul to a coin mislaid, which the owner was seeking, to a sheep strayed from the fold, which the shepherd was seeking, to a prodigal son, whose return the father was awaiting. There is no one for whom society has so little hope as a lost woman, but Jesus never despaired of the recovery of even a lost woman. Even the Judas who betrayed him he sought to rescue with reproachful greeting, "Friend, betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss?" There was only one character whose destiny he seemed himself unable to avert, the religious man whose religion was a false pretense, who was pious, but not humane. Who devoured widows' homes and for a pretense made long prayers. The offal of Jerusalem was carried out of the city into the valley of Gehenna and there thrown upon fires always left burning. And there it was consumed. Alas! For you hypocrite, cried Jesus, in an outburst of despairing pity, how can you escape Gehenna? To him such false pretenses seemed like the offal of the universe, doomed to destruction. The light that shines from the Old Testament is that of the Star of Bethlehem, which conducts the reader to the manger of his incarnate Lord. That star I seek to follow. Down below all the crust of human conceptions, of human ideas, Christ sank an artesian well into a source of happiness so pure and blessed that even yet the world does not believe in it. There's not a child so small and weak, but has his little cross to take, his little work of love and praise, that he may do for Jesus' sake. The saints were cowards who stood by to see Christ crucified. They should have flung themselves upon the Roman spears, and died in vain, the grandest death, to die in vain for love, greater than sways the forces of the world. The religion of Jesus Christ is not ascetic, nor sour, nor gloomy, nor circumscribing. It is full of sweetness in the present and in promise. Sing, my tongue, the Saviour's glory, of his flesh, the mystery sing, of the blood, all price exceeding, shed by our immortal King, destined, for the world's redemption, from a noble womb to spring. Jesus Christ did not come into the world merely to be a spectacle, merely to show us who and what God is, and then depart and leave us where we were before. I am the door, he says. A door is to push open and go through. He is the door, through him God enters into humanity. He is the door, through him humanity enters into God. He has come into the world in order that we, coming to some knowledge and apprehension of the divine nature, coming to understand what divine justice, divine truth, divine life, divine purity, divine love are, may the better enter into that life and be ourselves filled with all the fullness of God. Christ ransoms, Christ feeds, but, grandest truth of all, Christ frees us from the fetters we have welded on our own wrists. Lastly, That Christ died in the room instead of his people, appears from its being called a sacrifice. Who knows not that our Redeemer is often styled a high priest? His human nature was the victim.